Hello, everyone. This is our first recap of episodes 1 and 2 of our first long game SGSN Survivor Exile Island. I have Jeremy and head of production McKenna Feeney with me today to discuss these first two episodes. McKenna, what are your first thoughts after these first two episodes?
Oh, there's just alliances galore, and a lot of people who are in one alliance are also double dipping in another alliance and also in another alliance, and then one person from that one is in it. There's a web going on.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a season of Big Brother right now with
I
the start of the
know.
game and alliances are just everywhere. But you can definitely tell that the Castaways have come to play. Just right from the marooning, you can definitely see who is looking at other people, who's sizing them up, who's taking notes. So I think just from that beginning portion, you can really tell it's going to be a really good season.
Which I want to give props to Ian and Morgan for doing a marooning and not just a challenge right into a vote out. People really got to know their tribe mates and got to further relationships instead of just basing things off of tribal challenge performance.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was a really great idea.
Oh, absolutely. I think Ian and Morgan's decision to do that helped it be more similar to actual Survivor because what people should know is this long game was actually like a long game that was supposed to simulate actual Survivor that we see on TV. So it was exactly 39 days. We had 16 contestants, obviously only one winner. We'll see who that winner is in due time. But let's start with the marooning. So that takes up all of episode 1. They get marooned. They find out they're on the season. They don't know it's Exile Island yet. And you do the typical questioning, but really the meat of that episode is learning more about both the tribes individually. And we also see some idols being found. But let's start with the Alexa tribe. So with the Alexa tribe, we do see a couple majority alliances being made. There is some intersecting between them. And there's thoughts about the members within themselves there. So maybe let's start there if someone would like to start.
So if we want to break down the Alexa tribe, we have Austin, Michael Zucker, Mackenzie, John, Gaby, Connor, and Jim, which I just love watching them. I think they're my favorite tribe to watch, honestly. I love the Phil tribe, but Alexa tribe just brings a lot of like comedic value, and they are strategy, but it feels just so much lighter and more fun with
Mm-hmm.
over there than the Phil tribe that's like, all right, what are we doing? We have all these alliances intermingling and this strategy here, that strategy there. So Alexa's just like bubbly and fun.
Yeah. I thought what was really interesting was just right off the bat, you hear John pretty much tell us like his entire tribe or almost the entire tribe that him and Lauren know each other. And so definitely with this being a blind cast and there was no pre-gaming whatsoever, the Castaways didn't know. I thought that was pretty good on his part because in that way he can just get that straight off his chest. It's not going to come and bite him back later. And so I think it's going to help him create those relationships with a lot of his tribe mates.
Right. And you do see mainly that conversation we see it's between him and Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
And Andrew, who is one of the people on this tribe that has more org experience. It's not his first time doing it. In this tribe, we have I want to say three people with a good amount of org experience. The rest are new, with it being Andrew, John, and Gaby. With John revealing that information, it's a risk just because then there is a threat in some people's minds, like, oh, well, if they get together, they'll obviously, even though he's like downplaying, like, she only hosted me,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
like we never interacted past that. I'm there talking with my tribe mates and the other tribe. I'm not there to talk to the host. But it seems like Andrew at least took it very well. He's like, every game's different. So it doesn't matter if you know someone or not. I have this mindset that really it's no holds barred each season. Anything can change even if you know someone or don't know someone. So at least in this regard, it sounds like he's off to the right foot.
I think he had to disclose that Lauren fact because there's video proof out on the internet to watch that season. So there's no way if he's just like, yeah, I've never played an org, and they go look something up or whatever, they could easily find that he has been in an org before. Also, he is a valued production member, so he obviously knows Lauren a little bit more than he's leading on, which is great strategy by him to let everybody on his tribe know she was just the host. And he was also a pre-merge boot in that season, so he could have barely interacted with the host.
Right. Yeah, I think that was a pretty good thing to bring up, because in that way it lets his other tribe mates know that, like, they never actually played together. Mm-hmm. And so with John being a pre-merge boot in the last game that he was playing that Lauren hosted, Lauren really didn't get to see a whole lot of John's gameplay. And so they're not really sure like how the other is going to actually play this game.
And speaking of John having prior org experience, he finds the idol. He sees that clue in the box and is like, all right, I know what's happening here. Figures out how to solve it, sends the clue into Morgan, wham, idol. So
yes. And you see sort of like a tale of two tribes here. You have one tribe where really, at least from what we're shown, you have John explaining how he found the idol, but no one else on the tribe really discusses, oh, are there idols already? Do we have clues already? Whereas in juxtaposition with the Phil tribe, yet literally every single confessional outside like one or two of the people are talking about the idol. Yep. Like, there is an idol here. If I don't have it, someone else has it. If this person's lying, saying that they don't have it, they do have a
like 3-step plan that he had. It could be this, or this.
Right. So going back to the election tribe, so we have John who has that idol. He is in one of the 5-person alliances. There are 2 on this tribe. The one that he's in, it's him, Mackenzie, Connor, Michael Zucker, and Austin.
The 5 amigos.
The 5 amigos, as Michael Zucker coined them.
Yes. He thinks he's sitting pretty, but I don't know if he knows or if Mackenzie, Zucker, or Connor tipped him off of Jim's newbie alliance, which also includes Gaby, even though she's an org vet, but they needed another number, so...
Yeah, so like, I think that was like a counterpoint of, and good on Jim if Jim was the one who helped spearhead this. By seeing that there are people with experience, it does make sense to, yes, they're there and they could be a useful tool, but it's also good to create a group of like-minded people that are, in one way or the other, are starting on the same footing. Whereas people who have played a game, yes, it's a different game, but you do have an a subconscious advantage because you know what you're getting yourself into. Whether you played a mini or a long game, you have a certain idea of what to expect when you step foot and start a game.
Now, I have a question for you, Jeremy. If you were a new player to an org, and like Zucker, he wants to use John and Austin for all that they're worth, but then like, I guess eventually cut them, but he's like, I want them here now. I don't want to be letting them go. Would you like want to get them out as fast as possible, or would you do like Michael is?
It really depends on where you are in the game, and if your team is winning challenges, then that's great. But I think there definitely comes a point where people start thinking about swaps and merges, and I think that's when you kind of start to think about, okay, how can I get rid of these strong targets with the least amount of blood on my hand, but it still comes off as my move. So I think you have to look at every angle. You can't just be like, okay, I want this person out right now, or I want to keep these people as far as I can go.
Yeah, it's an interesting position because when you're, it's when do you want the moves to be yours? And for me, if you're in the early game, it's survival. You want to get to the merge. You do what you need to. I'm not saying that anything but me strategy, it works for some, it doesn't work for everyone. But I think the appropriate move for certain people would be, I need some things to happen, but it's not a game changer if it doesn't. Like, I don't need my name tag to these early boots as like, oh, I was the orchestrator. I could be someone who helped, but I want to be getting to that merge with people that I trust. That would be my main voting purpose. It wouldn't be challenge strength. It wouldn't be, the potential to swap. The only reason for it, a swap gives more reason for you to want to vote out people that you just aren't vibing with.
Yeah.
Because if you get in a majority spot, you're good because you're with people that you trust.
Yeah, and you kind of see that with Mackenzie a little bit in this first episode.
Oh, yes, true.
Where like I have written down like she is ruthless from the get-go, and she's in this alliance with, I believe it's Connor, right?
Yes.
Right.
And then she's already saying, yeah, she's in 2 separate alliances with Connor, and she's already saying, I'm not being able to work with this guy. I already want to stab him in the back. Like,
but
Mackenzie,
he's not going home because we're in alliances together. Oh, well.
Yeah.
It'll be an interesting storyline to sort of watch as we go along. But that pretty much wraps up the main points for the Alexa tribe. Let's go into the Phil tribe, which sort of, there's really just one overarching 5-sum, a 3-sum within that 5, and then you have your outliers. So let's sort of, Jeremy, do you want to sort of start going over the the Phil tribe?
Yeah, so we have Lauren, Greg, Lilly, Michael, and I think there's one more.
Alex.
Yeah, so like that's kind of like your core 5. And then you have Victoria, Bill, and
Will,
who are all kind of on the outs. I love the group of 5, but I also love the like the outcasters too. Like the Phil tribe has a lot of good strategic players in it, I think. And kind of like McKenna, like what you were saying earlier, like they are playing hard just right from the get-go. And I think it could be an interesting tribe to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And then you see the 3 within that 5 is Lauren, Greg, and Lilly.
Live, laugh, love.
Yeah, live, laugh, love.
And it sounds like they all love that name.
I think Lilly was the one that made it up, if I'm not mistaken, because Lauren, Lilly, and Langstine, Greg's last name.
Wow.
So LLL, live, laugh, love.
We will see how much they are living, laughing, and loving together. But we do see them have that discussion. They're talking about being the majority as we lead ourselves into the first challenge, which is a 3-staged competition. 3 members will have to stack metal nuts using a pencil that is in their mouth. Once that's completed, the next 3 members of your group will have to complete 3 consecutive water bottle flips. And then lastly, 2 members will complete a word scramble puzzle. That gets tricky later on with one of the groups. Yeah. But if you guys were in that competition and you're seeing that you're part of one of these tribes, where do you think you would be putting yourselves in?
Oh, the pencil and the nuts, 100%.
Yeah, I'd either do the pencil and the nuts or make sure I'm the first person to do the flips for the water bottle, because I'm not bad at it, but I don't hit it every single time. So I don't want to be in the position we see lovely Lauren in, where she just can't hit that water bottle.
Yeah. So really the first stage isn't truly a problem for anyone. Like Jim's a little behind, but not by much. It was just one of the nuts like went like a little awkward, so he had to reposition it. But for the most part, they both get in a timely fashion.
Even apart in challenge. Yeah. Jim's like slowness in the first part didn't even matter.
Did not matter, and that's what you see in a lot of the challenges in the real shows. Like some teams get a slow start, but if there's any type of snag by that leading team, you see that other team come in from behind and get that win. And you start to see it's a little bit of a back and forth there, because stage 1, the Phil tribe starts out strong. They finish really quick. They're right into the water bottle flip, but Alex and Lauren are struggling on that flip. And anytime Alex finally gets it, Lauren just misses it, and they have to restart, which allows team 2 to come in. We see a little time magic going on here. It's going for a while, but eventually the combination of John, Austin, and Connor complete their water bottle flips in succession. Apparently, I've been told from sources that Connor was actually the one who picked that order. I think that was a smart move. What they ended up with,
I think in the breakout rooms, they were saying we should do our best first because they'll always hit it.
Mhm.
But then Connor, I believe, brought up, wait, no, we should do it where the best person is in that clutch role, which we see Connor only mess up once and hit the second. Same with Mike on the other tribe, hit one of two.
Right. And like when you have someone like Connor who's a high school, the stereotype. If you're in high school and like you're at lunch or you have a slow day in class, you're flipping a water bottle. Like that's what you're doing. Like it's your like crapshoot comp to win. So he put himself in a
compilation of Connor just doing water bottle flips.
Like he put himself in, and it was a bold move by him putting himself last because it is sort of a hero spot for that round. Because if he kept messing up as third, you're getting voted out, my friend. Like that's what it is.
Yeah.
But then it gives, because of how fast they're able to do it, and Lauren and Alex are still struggling, it gives Gaby and Andrew a very valuable amount of time to start figuring out the puzzle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we see Gaby get island. It was like, hey, maybe island. Mm-hmm. Andrew gets that end half of the sentence, and then Gaby gets the find safety on. So I think they were pretty even in like solving the
right. Mm-hmm. Well, it helps when you know what the type of puzzle truly is. So the Phil tribe does complete their water bottle flip. It's a little too late, but they are able to at least start it, start the puzzle. But it seems Victoria got a little tricked up thinking it was a different type of puzzle.
Correct. Yeah, I don't know where she was going with that, but like some sort of cryptogram where like every letter is replaced by other letters, and I'm like, we're not going to try and torture you here. This isn't our goal. We want it to be able to be solved.
And like you could tell Bill knew what the puzzle was supposed to do, and was getting a little bit frustrated, but was trying to keep his emotions in check. In the end, it doesn't matter. But before the winner's announced,
oh no,
we do have a little bit of drama, a little bit of tea being spilled. There's some good like back and forth going on between the tribes when Lauren decides to just drop a bombshell on the cast by going, hey, Alexa tribe, I don't know if you know this or not, but Gaby's playing another org at the same time. And there's like a couple moments where it's just like silence, and you see some people just like mouth gaped, just like, what's like, oh my god.
I only watched like Simmons during that clip the entire time. I loved his reaction.
So before we go into like more into this, what were your thoughts of her just deciding like, hey, it's the first challenge, it's day 3, I'm just gonna throw this out there?
I don't know. I kind of think like it wasn't needed. But Lauren may have thought that it was maybe a strategic move to give the Electra tribe like, hey, you have someone who's not fully committed to this. So there's kind of like your scapegoat if you ever lose a challenge. I don't know. I kind of thought it was a little bit dirty. Yeah. But, it's a game, so people are going to do whatever they can to get further.
I watched it play out live. I think, Jeremy, you were in the puzzle room with Bill and Victoria while this was going on. I got a front row seat to this Lauren outburst, and I was just like, there's her game. Just here. Like, I would never do some sort of outburst like that. I would talk to my tribe about it first. And like, if we wanted to discuss that later, like maybe as a group do something about, I don't know, but like to single myself out like that, Lord, no.
Well, we'll have to find out more as the game goes on, and maybe we'll find out more in the episodes. Maybe when I was watching the episode, like besides being just like, oh, this was sort of awkward, my thought was like, maybe for whatever reason, I don't know, besides maybe she's seen her in another org herself, maybe she's thinking she actually is like a decent player for them, especially if it comes to like puzzles and if other challengers are coming to puzzles. So let me paint a target on her back, and if they take her out, that benefits my group because that gets rid of someone who's good at puzzles for them. Who knows? Only Lauren truly knows the reasons why she made that decision. But I am concerned based off some of what her tribe mates were saying afterwards in this episode. Without saying it, I feel like they were saying, ooh, did we make the right choice having her in this?
Well, her stock was up high with everybody, and they all were like, all right, Lauren's great, Lauren's great, Lauren's great. Sucks that she's on Exile. But then, like, she does this whole outburst, and she can't say anything because she's on Exile. Her stock's here, and it just goes, boop. And she's like, they're fifth instead of, like,
second
in the three of Greg, Lilly, and herself.
Right. So the Alexa tribe wins immunity, and before the challenge started, Morgan made it known that not only do you win immunity, but you win something that's also very valuable, a big decision that you will have to make. So what they find out is this season will be Exile Island. And as the winning tribe, you must select someone from the losing tribe to go to Exile Island. In turn, that person will select someone from the winning tribe. They will be excommunicated from all chats, so they cannot communicate with anyone from their tribe, which is a great move for an online org. That's how you have to do it. And it's easier to maintain when you have hosts in those chats. So they're removed from all chats. They can only talk to the other person on Exile. They are given a clue, potentially to an advantage. We don't know yet. But because they're on Exile and they won't be back to the next immunity challenge, they're now safe from tribal council. So it gives Alexa's tribe a decision to make.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah. Mackenzie comes in hot. Once again, like you were saying before, Jeremy, she's just like, Lauren, she's out of here. Not even thinking like, maybe Lauren picks me.
Yeah, I kind of think Mackenzie, and you also hear it from Andrew too, boasting, yeah, we should pick Lauren. I kind of think this is very strategic, pretty much thinking long game, because they're probably thinking to themselves, okay, Lauren's not made this outburst. Now we can save her from tribal, and if her tribe doesn't really like her from this, we can pull her to our side, and she can start working with us. And so I kind of thought it was to me, it was a very strategic decision.
For sure.
Yes. And what I found interesting was the only thing they talk about in there is, at least from what we're showing, I don't know how much it was edited or not, was her performance. That was the narrative that they wanted out there, was the performance.
Yeah.
Because you do have Gaby and Andrew in there. That's what they tell Andrew. And Andrew's like, okay, makes sense. She was one of the worst performers, save them, and now they had to potentially take out someone who was a better performer for them, and we can continue to win. That's a good narrative to give. I wonder, they had more reason not to, even if they don't believe Lauren or what to believe truly, they're like, we're all making a mental note right here. We're not going to tell Gaby, at least at this moment, I believe, that Lauren just called you out in front of everyone, saying that you're playing other games at the same time. And they're like, you know, if we lose, we have an option. We'll talk about it, you know? Yeah. So overall, do you think they made the right decision picking Lauren out of that group?
I'd say yes, given the challenge.
Yeah, definitely just going off challenge performance alone, yes, they made the right decision.
Okay.
Because the disadvantage of not hearing the puzzle as well with Victoria. So the only other option I'd say is, hey, they could choose Victoria, but they don't know about the word search versus cipher
right
kind of issue that went down. So they don't know that Victoria could potentially be up for being voted out.
Right. And then in turn, Lauren looks around at the Alexa tribe decides to go with Mackenzie. We find out that Lauren, to sort of jump past the celebration angle, we can come back to it. Lauren says she picks Mackenzie because out of everyone on the other tribe, she viewed Mackenzie as the most likely to talk and spill secrets of her tribe. But she says, at least, we don't see it, but she says that Mackenzie spilled everything about all the alliance structures, what she thinks of all the people on her tribe, and Lauren thinks, I've hit the jackpot.
Yeah.
Jeremy, what's your strategy on Exile?
Yeah, you try to get as much information as you can. But then you also have to think about, like, okay, you don't want to also give away too much on your tribe as well. And so if that actually happened, that gives Lauren a lot of information to go back to after the first tribal. And so Mackenzie may have kind of bit herself in the foot there.
Well, potentially. She could have potentially struck gold herself, because we find out to wrap up Exile that only Lauren got the clue in her urn for an advantage. The assumption is it's an idol. Yep. But Lauren complains about it being too long. It's 6 pages, and I don't know what they're doing with all the T's. So she does share the information, not all of it, but she shares it with Mackenzie. So going out of this episode, we at least have an assumption that there's a possibility out there that either of them could come out of this with an advantage.
Because if Mackenzie just snipes it from Lauren, because Lauren has been screen sharing the note that she got in the urn, so Mackenzie could very much just be like, wow, crazy, you didn't get it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we will find out there. But if I'm Mackenzie, if I'm able to figure it out, there's no way I'm telling Lauren a thing about it. I'm just gonna be like, I'm stumped. I don't know what any of this means. Puzzles aren't my forte. You pull all those tricks out of the book, but like you now have like, well, thank you.
And it's
thank you for giving this to me.
Mackenzie's a professional reader.
So there's a possibility that Mackenzie does find out, but I would assume we could potentially figure that out in the next few episodes. But that sort of wraps the Exile side of things. Before we go into the Phil tribe, because they will dominate the rest of this talk, we can briefly discuss the Alexa side of things. We do see some celebrations.
One word for Alexa tribe, which is Connor.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, that I guess you sort of lead me into this. Who had the better celebration? Was it Connor and his just massive flexing of the arms, pointing with the John Lennon shades, or was it Austin going full Italian?
I'm in Team Connor. Everything that kid says, especially with in episode 1, with like, we've kind of been saying like rule 1 is don't scheme, but then also scheme. Yeah. It's just everything he says is gold.
Yeah, he's definitely a fun one at the very least. We're not getting a ton of strategy out of him outside of talking about the scheming or not scheming, but he's at least providing in the confessional, even without saying anything. So keep doing your thing. We briefly have Gaby just talking about how she's relieved that she wasn't picked to go there because it gives her a chance to socialize with others. We haven't seen any videos of her in a room with other people outside the challenges, so we'll see what's happening there. And then you have John and Zucker sort of talking about like the benefits of Mackenzie going, and hopefully because they're in, especially with Zucker, I'm in 2 alliances with her. Hopefully she at least can come back and give us some details of what we can expect at Exile, or even better, if she finds something there, that's something that could be useful for our group to advance forward.
Exactly.
So if you're the person on Exile, Jeremy, and you're coming back to your tribe, like if you're in Mackenzie's spot, like how revealing do you want to be with them? Like, do you just be like, hey, I understand someone else is going to go, so I'm just going to spill what to expect there? but then be a little coy with what actually happened and only tell a few people, or how open are you going to be?
I think you get the entire tribe together and you spill some or most of the beans, but then you also have like your core people where you tell more information to. But then I also think you keep some of it to yourself. I mean, in this game, information is power, and so you always want to have some type of cards in your hand, and you don't want to lay everything down so quickly.
For sure.
Okay. So that wraps up the arc currently for the Phil tribe. The only thing we didn't mention was Gaby having an issue with John, saying that she has the impression that John likes to take charge. And while she doesn't like taking the back seat, she doesn't like being in charge, but she also won't take orders from someone.
But will take a shot if she needs to.
Yes, she will take a shot when she needs to, when he slips up.
Right.
My only issue with that is if you're eliminating being in charge, you're eliminating being a follower, and you're eliminating yourself being a bypasser, what's the role?
I don't know.
Are you narrating? Are you pretending to be the host? Like
she's actually on production. She's the mole. Like,
is she the mole? Are we on the wrong show right now? Who knows? Tune in next time and you'll find out. But that sort of wraps up the main plot points for the Phil tribe. Is there any other points with the Phil tribe that you want to discuss?
Alexa tribe.
Oh yes, with the Alexa tribe. I will get used to this. But yes, let's go into the Phil tribe though. And mainly the first half of this is the core alliance of Mike, Simmons, Alex, Lilly, and Greg. Sort of talking about like, it sucks that our fifth person is on Exile. Also, sort of, I'm concerned about
our fifth person.
Our fifth person, and if she's gonna pop off like that regularly. Like, we were not expecting that. And you even had them talking in a setting where they're like, we can cover ourselves by saying we want Lauren out next, and that could also help us find a new person to take her spot. Like, they're sort of in that in between of I'm concerned, but she also still helps us keep a majority. So we'll keep her.
Yep.
But like you said, McKenna, she's now like, we're putting an arm's length here. Yep. Like, you were here. You're not going to be a nice full body away.
We were holding hands like right here, but now we're like holding hands like over here.
Yeah, this really shows good strategic planning from those four. I mean, they're able to adapt and have a plan B, C, and D, just in case if things go south when Lauren comes back. I mean, I feel like there are sometimes in Survivor where people are so codependent on just their core people and they're never willing to branch out. Mm-hmm. And so with this group of four saying, yeah, we could have this option, this option, this option. It's our pick of the litter, basically.
Which takes advantage of with Victoria, because she felt like she was on the bottom of that 5 with Lauren in it, and she was like, I'm gonna talk to Victoria, I'm gonna talk to Will, see what's up. Which, congratulations for doing that, because then you have them as a vote that you can like loop into the main vote, or if you need to like leave them out or use them to split votes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, yes. So MVP of this part of the episode for me is Lilly, because she at least is the one expressing to their alliance, going, with this twist, we now know, like, we could predict that one of our 5 will consistently be going to Exile. If like we play our cards right, they don't put the minority there. One of our 5's always going to be going there if we keep losing or winning. Who knows? But in that event, we need to take one of these people that are outside of our alliance and make them our sixth person, but our extra fifth in the event that we need it. And you see Lilly sort of like target and go, Victoria. Let me really push and get them to agree that in this hierarchy, Victoria is the highest of this three. Victoria, Bill, and Will in that order.
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely have to give props to Victoria. I mean, she's playing a very quiet game right now, but I think definitely her perception of other people and their kind of like strategy thinking and their behavior mechanisms, I think she's really picking up on that. We kind of see in episode 1 when the Phil tribe is kind of talking about their idol, kind of who has it. A lot of people think that it's either Mike or
Bill.
Bill, but then like you see right at the very end, Victoria's like, I kind of think Will has it. He's
right.
Yeah, and she's right. And so yeah, I have to give Victoria a lot of props for the game she's playing right now.
The only thing I'm worried about is if she trusts Lilly too much, because Lilly has her fingers in every alliance here. She's in so many different ones. So if she puts all her eggs in Lily's basket, I just worry about that aspect of it.
Right. She definitely comes across as someone who's more reserved, and because you're more reserved, you're not making a ton of level relationships, but you have the potential to make some key relationships. So by making a relationship with Lilly, who sort of has her hands everywhere in other pots and also in a majority and a majority within that majority, that could be very beneficial for her and be a lifesaver for her down the line. We'll have to find out as we keep going along. But with her sussing out Will at the end of episode 1, it's sort of a hunch, but she is correct. We do get a little bit of this Will arc. And Will feels very safe. He says he's talking to people, but we're also hearing that he's not talking to people and sort of sticking to himself. But he's like, I've made connections. I was the fastest person to complete my portion of the challenge.
It was not true. It was Greg.
Yeah. Well, everyone's the hero of their own narrative.
Right?
And he's like, I'm not playing the idol the first vote. I would be shocked if I see my name on parchment.
Yeah, which he was. But whenever you hear that confessional, that's why, at least in editing, Ian did help with a lot of like picking out of clips and stuff to use. But that's why in the editing process, you really, other than Will saying, I'm safe, I'm not going home, you didn't see much of rumblings of Will's name being thrown around. But that confessional in itself should always be your tip off of they're going out because they're safe and confident. They said the kiss of death words.
Right. Yeah. And you do see it, and I'll let Jeremy sort of speak a little bit more on this. After that, we do cut to Greg, and Greg's throwing a little bit of shade towards Will.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, you're hearing a lot from different people, like they kind of like Will, but then also like he's like this gigantic ball of energy that just won't sit down. And yeah, you kind of hear Greg talking about, yeah, maybe he's just been cooped up in his room for quarantine for too long, and now he's just letting out all this energy. But I also kind of think that's just maybe Will's personality in a way. And so I think there's a way where you have to realize the kind of personality that you may be putting out and then kind of down tuning it. Because in that way, because if you come off too strong, then people, they're going to say, oh, we can't really deal with this for much longer. Like, we got to get him out. So you got to have that perfect balance of your forwardness whenever you're talking with people and then when to lay back.
Right. And I think this was like your second clue for Will going home is one of the last lines he says in like sort of paraphrasing is, you're not as savvy as we may have feared to be.
Yeah.
So he's like, everyone's expecting him to be this, like, even though he's this ball of injury, he must have also said, like, oh, I played games before. So they probably have this expectation, like, oh, he's going to be a power player. And then they're like, oh, maybe he's a little more sloppy. Maybe, like, he's not as sharp at the moment as we thought he would be from get-go. So maybe this is, like, we're hearing from Victoria, oh, he may or may not have an idol. There's an easy way to solve that. Vote him out.
Vote him out.
Yep.
But we do have the second contingent before we get to the vote and the tribal council. And it's Bill throwing a lot of shade towards Victoria.
Puzzle room.
Giving it to Mike and Alex. I believe it was to Mike and Alex, saying, like, telling everything that happened in the puzzle room, telling them about how he thought he figured out the idol, but was told that there was nothing there. So then that allows them who are strategizing to go, like, well, he could be lying and have it, but I don't know why he would do that. They're saying he could be telling the truth and he got it correct and someone else has it, which then goes to Victoria's theory that maybe Will has it. Or he just got it wrong.
Yep.
And this is where reads are important. And you both played games or long game where these type of clues are out there. So, like, how hard is it in game for you to really try to figure out, am I supposed to believe this person? How much can I take their word?
Gosh.
It's definitely hard when it's only day 3. I mean, McKenna and I, we can contest to our long game. Like, we had almost an entire month of pre-gaming, and so we got to know each other that much.
Which I will say, Jeremy and I were supposed to be in an alliance pre-game. It didn't happen. No idea Jeremy wanted me gone, like, first. Like, so I guess I'm just too trusting of something. I probably fall more along the lines of Victoria, where she, like, all in on Lilly and, like, might be a little bit too trusting. But, so for me, I'm not good with, like, reads. If you tell me what you're doing or what your vote is or something, most likely gonna believe you.
Yeah, and it's hard to, like, to be able to read people in such a short amount of time. And so you kind of just have to go with your gut instinct on this decision. Like, do we believe him or do we not? And then you just kind of go with it and hope for the best.
And especially if it's, say, like a 25-minute Zoom. Like, if Mike and Bill were on that Zoom for 25 minutes, how much can you really tell? You really have to spend a length of time talking to people where you get to know their mannerisms.
Right.
If you're a buzz of a phone and you see them look down or something to that effect, and the cues of you see them send a text, put their phone down, someone else picks up their phone, like that kind of deal. You have to be on a longer conversation.
Yeah.
So, depending on what they do.
Yeah, I think definitely with these type of, like, virtual games, like, you literally have to be watching, listening, and, like, all these different types of things. Like, when you're just having a conversation with someone, like, you have to be aware of so many different things. Whereas I think in actual Survivor, yeah, like, you have to be, like, visibly, like, noticing, like, where people are going. But there aren't, like, all these other factors of, like, messaging, like, on your phone, or maybe having, like, a side conversation on your computer going at the same time. And so it's complicated.
Like, Jeremy and Alex went off to the well. I'm still at the shelter. I know you guys went off to the well, but I don't have to try and think of, is Jeremy only talking to Alex?
Right.
You know, I know it's just you guys because I only saw you guys.
Yeah.
Now it could be like Jeremy's also talking to X, Y, and Z.
Okay. Well, that's all very good information. That leads us into tribal council. We really go through the main talking points that you get from a first tribal council. You talk about the performances. They're like, yeah, we sucked. Some of us did better than others. Lauren is on Exile. Mike, like, multiple times in tribal council and in his confessionals, like, no one wants to blame Lauren. I'm not saying we're blaming Lauren, but we're blaming Lauren. I loved that. I'm just like, I'm all for shade. It's
Lauren,
great.
but also one slip up I think Mike had, he kind of recovered from it. But Morgan asked, like, would Lauren have gone home if she was still
right?
And he was like, No, well, it's unclear, but he
Right.
said no at first, which I took it as, oh, so she's in with you then.
Mhm.
Right. Like it's hard because I think if you're a savvy enough game player, and obviously it's his first time,
Mhm.
I would be using this. She's like, this is the first time I'm ever doing this. I'm not quite sure what to say in these settings, like after the fact, like not during it, because then like that makes you more culpable and like more capable of people to believe that, oh yeah, he meant to say no when he said no. But I think it was more him trying to think through it. He's like, well, no, but like I don't know to be sure. Like I think it was up to him and she wasn't available. I think he may have taken the other for it and said like, hey, let's just cut bait here. Like
Mhm.
like I think that like outburst would have been enough for me. Because I feel reliability is important when
Yeah.
you have an unpredictable factor in there, as such as someone just saying something out loud to all people can hear. That's risky for me.
Mhm.
I'd be like, that's not someone I would really want around. But she's not there. She's not there. So in his mind, maybe he's like, no, maybe yes. But at the end of the day, my answer would be, it really doesn't matter what we initially would have thought if she would be here or not. There was no point in us thinking about that. She was safe.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we had to think about the 7. Like that's how you rebound from it. It'd be like we had to figure out within who we have here.
Yeah. And I think that's what's tricky about tribals as you're a new player is kind of how to answer the questions that Morgan and Ian are giving you, but like making it to where like you're not really giving an answer, but answering the question all at the same time and not giving out that information that you kind of want to give out. But that all that comes better with the more tribals you go to.
So we all know that Lauren is one of the hosts of our minis here on SGSN. But I pride myself in like I was able to skirt around one question Lauren gave me, and she's a stickler at tribal councils. I
Mhm.
pride myself in being able to skirt around questions. I got one in with Lauren, and that's like a little badge. So like Morgan has been doing a pretty good job, I think, of just being like, wait, you mean what? Like,
Mhm.
let's expand upon what you
Yeah.
just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, Morgan definitely owned the tribals. She did a great job in her first tribal council as a host. They do mention idols briefly. No one does play an idol. We go into the vote. We do see a couple votes down for Victoria from Will and from Bill, the two
Yeah,
people on
Bill
the
was left out
outside.
completely.
Yep.
Mhm.
Bill was left in complete dark. Will was given the impression that it would be Victoria based off challenge performance. The rest of the group, Victoria and the Majority Alliance, all put down Will. We see Will go out before leaving, going, well, be quicker next time because I found the idol on day 1. But good job, guys.
Yep.
See, I don't even know if that was a smart move, like leaving, because now you just let everyone know that, okay, there's another idol out there when you could have just left with it in your pocket and who knows if it's going to be rehidden or all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I kind of don't think it was the best move leaving, but oh well.
I also want to give Victoria some credit. During that tribal council, it looked like her computer was glitched because she was just stone cold. Like her name was coming up, she had no reaction to it. She was just like, "Yeah, I'm not going home. Give me those votes." Like
Yeah.
he was just a boss in that tribal.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's give some final words to Will. He goes out, sort of just like goes through this whirlwind. You only see a portion of the final words. I was doing the final words for
Oh,
majority of this
he
season.
went on a ramble. Like I was cutting down and cutting down and cutting down, but he just was so blindsided.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had no idea that anyone was considering him. He thought it was going to be like everyone votes for Victoria. Maybe someone votes for Bill, like because they were on the puzzle, and Lawrence not available, he was a little devastated over being at first boot, but he got to play the game. First boots do have a special place in a lot of people's hearts of there can only be one. And Will, you are the first boot of our long games.
Just wanna remind the fans watching here of Denny's winner pick is now first boot. Just wanted to put that one out there. Probably get an angry text later.
So at the end of it all, like Will's the one going out. Do you guys think at this point in time, voting out Will was the correct move for them as a tribe?
Will, I think, has the potential to bring a lot of chaos, where Victoria doesn't seem like she'd be the one bringing the chaos. She might try and maybe lead a vote or two, but from through Lilly, maybe hey Lilly, what if we vote out X instead? I think would bounce off the walls like some people were saying. So I think it was smart, especially even though they didn't know that he had an idol, but he had an idol.
Yeah, I think definitely Will was the wild card, and they were just really unsure of where he was going to go, what he was going to do, and then you kind of risk if you keep someone like that in the game, you risk what they do in post swap, post merge. I kind of think it was the right move, although Will is on my fantasy team. And so I was very excited when I found out he has an idol. I was doing really well with points, and then he's the first boot. But what can you do?
Yeah. It's a lesson for people. More times than not, I always say you never just throw an idol out there to throw an idol. But I feel like there's a special case, and you don't see it often with a first boot or potential first boot throwing out, but it just shows how good of a game those other players were playing. They were able to make Will feel extremely comfortable to the point where he felt there was no point in even trying to burn out, because he did have some thoughts here and there of potentially using it and double backing on his original thought of never touching it for the first tribal. But at the end of the day, he does go home with an idol in his pocket, the first wasted advantage of this season. But
I just want to give Lilly a little bit more props here, I guess, because Will was also so dead set. She's on the outs. She was that other vote for Victoria.
Yeah, so I would like to say first 2 episodes for you guys. I want you guys to pick your MVP, who played the best, who was your shining star of the first 2 episodes. Jeremy, let's start with you.
Oh, first 2 episodes. So just one person for the entire thing. I think for me, it's a tie between Greg and Lilly. I think they're making a lot of head ground in their tribe, and they're just coming up with so many different options at this point that keeps them safe in so many different scenarios.
For me, I want to give a little bit of love to someone who we haven't seen much of. Michael Zucker, I think, is a big proponent in this game, at least on the Alexa tribe, because he's in 3 alliances, and there's not many. I'll break down all the alliances in just a second of the Alexa tribe. He's in all the alliances possible on the Alexa tribe. So I think he's set in that tribe, and I don't think anybody is gonna even talk about voting him out, at least pre-merge.
Yeah, so thank you guys for that, because what I want to do this season is, as we go through with these recaps, I want you and Jeremy to continue to give me your MVPs for those batches of episodes, and we will do a counter to see who at the end of the season is the MVP of season 1 of SGSN Exile Island.
Cool.
Right. Well, we talked about a lot of alliances. I'll give you their names, break them down. Hopefully I don't have to add more to this list in the upcoming episodes, but we'll see. So on the Phil tribe, we have the Fab Five, which is Lauren, Greg, Mike, Lily, and Alex. Then we have Glam, which is Greg, Lily, Alex, and Mike. Live, Laugh, Love, Lily, Lauren, and Greg. Quad Squad, Mike, Lauren, Greg, and Alex. And that's the alliance that Lily was saying she was brought into, feeling on the bottom to create the Fab Five. The Phil Newbie alliance that Victoria was talking about, saying I brought in everybody, and hopefully we can create some sort of newbie alliance. Then there's the Nuts and Bolts, which is Will, Greg, and Lily, and two constants in every single alliance here are Greg and Lily. They are in every single one, which, Jeremy, you're MVPs.
Yeah.
And then the Alexa tribe, as far as I know, only has three: the Five Amigos of John, Mackenzie, Michael, Austin, and Connor, the Triforce of John, Austin, and Michael, and then the Newbie Alliance of Jim, Mackenzie, Gaby, Michael, and Connor.
Yeah, a lot of alliances there. Would love to see in the chat who people think are going to be the strongest alliances. But with that, that wraps up the episode 1 and episode 2 recap of Survivor Game Show Network's Survivor Exile Island. Thank you all for watching today, and please remember to like the video, click subscribe, and click that bell for all notifications so you know when new episodes are being dropped, as well as our recaps and exit interviews, which we will be having an exit interview with the first boot. That will be with Ian, Morgan, and Denny. Thank you all again. Please also, if you want more information, go to the Facebook page Survivor Game Show Network and become a fan on there as well. That allows you to be able to drop questions. You'll get daily content when new casts are being dropped, when new seasons are being created. You'll be the first to know. But with that, good night, everyone.